The text came 3 days before Thanksgiving. I was in my office, technically a converted bedroom in my small apartment, reviewing the final acquisition documents when my phone buzzed. Family group chat. My sister Ashley's message appeared. Hey everyone. So Tyler's bringing his new girlfriend Madison to Thanksgiving. He's from Greenwich, super sophisticated, you know the type. We want to make a good impression. Everyone should dress nice, like really nice. Business casual at minimum. I kept scrolling through the contract. $180 million. The number still didn't feel real. Another text from Ashley, this one just to me. Jen, real talk. Maybe it's better if you sit this one out? Madison's used to a certain lifestyle and your Goodwill outfits would be kind of awkward. No offense. Just trying to avoid uncomfortable situations. You understand, right? Before I could respond, Mom replied in the group chat with a heart emoji on Ashley's message. My brother Tyler added, yeah, we want everything perfect. Madison's dad owns a hedge fund. I stared at my phone. Then at my laptop screen where the Bloomberg article was already drafted, embargoed until Friday at 6 p.m., Thanksgiving evening. Breaking. DataStream Solutions acquires rival CloudSync for $180 million. CEO Jennifer Walsh, 32, closes one of year's largest SaaS acquisitions. I typed back to Ashley, okay. That was it. Just okay. She sent a relieved emoji. Thanks for understanding. Love you. I closed the family chat and went back to work. Growing up, I was the weird sister. The one who preferred computers to clothes, coding to socializing, building websites in my bedroom instead of going to parties. Ashley was 3 years older. Beautiful, popular, always perfectly put together. She studied marketing at a state school, landed a job at a mid-tier advertising agency, and spent her 20s perfecting her Instagram aesthetic and dating guys who wore boat shoes unironically. Tyler was the baby born when I was 5. He went into finance, worked as an analyst at a regional investment firm, and talked constantly about networking and building his brand. Our parents owned a small but successful printing business. Comfortable middle-class life. Nice house in the suburbs. Nothing extravagant but stable. They'd never understood me. Jennifer spends all her time on that computer. Mom would tell relatives as if I had some kind of condition. She's very smart, Dad would add in a tone that suggested intelligence was a consolation prize for not being pretty or social like Ashley. I dropped out of college after 2 years. Not because I was failing but because I'd already built something more valuable than a degree. A software platform called DataStream that helped small businesses manage their data infrastructure. You're throwing away your education, Mom had cried. Ashley graduated. Tyler's going to graduate. What will we tell people? Tell them I started a company. A company, Dad repeated skeptically. Jennifer, you're 20 years old. You live in a studio apartment. You eat ramen noodles. This isn't a company. This is a hobby. But it wasn't a hobby. It was a business. Year 1, $50,000 in revenue. Built the entire platform myself. Sold subscriptions for $49 per month to small businesses that couldn't afford enterprise solutions. Year 2, $500,000 in revenue. Hired my first employee, a developer I'd met on GitHub who believed in the vision. Year 3, $2.5 million in revenue. Series of funding. Actual offices. A team of 12. Year 4, $12 million in revenue. Series B. Features in TechCrunch. Invitations to conferences. Year 5, $47 million in revenue. We were competing with companies that had $100 million budgets. And we were winning. Throughout all of this, my family never asked for details. They decided early on that I was the unsuccessful daughter, the dropout who did something with computers, and nothing would change their minds. Still doing the tech thing? Tyler would ask at family dinners in the same tone someone might ask about a garage band that never made it. Jennifer works so hard, Mom would say sympathetically as if I were struggling. She's very dedicated to her little startup. Ashley was the golden child. Her agency job paid $65,000 a year, which the family treated like royalty. She had a nice apartment, nice clothes, a nice car, leased, but they didn't ask questions. Ashley's doing so well, Mom would beam. Did you see her latest campaign? I'd see the campaigns. Mediocre work for local businesses, nothing groundbreaking. But I'd nod and smile because what was the point of correcting them? Meanwhile, I was closing deals with clients in 15 countries, managing a team of 87 people, fielding acquisition offers from companies worth billions. I lived in the same small apartment, drove a 10-year-old Civic, wore clothes from Goodwill and Target because they were functional and I didn't care about fashion. Every dollar went back into the company, into growth, into building something that mattered. My personal bank account had $180,000 in it. My company was valued at $94 million. I owned 62% of it. And my family thought I was barely scraping by. The acquisition offer from CloudSync came 6 months ago. They were our biggest competitor, a company with venture capital backing, aggressive marketing, and a product that was good but not great. They wanted to buy us out, eliminate the competition, absorb our technology and our team. The first offer was $85 million. I said no. The second offer was $120 million. I said no. Jennifer, my CFO Marcus had said carefully, that's a life-changing amount of money. For all of us. Why are you saying no? Because we're worth more. Because they need us more than we need them. Because if we wait 6 months, we'll be in position to buy them. Marcus stared at me. Buy them? They're twice our size. In revenue. Not in growth rate. Not in customer satisfaction. Not in product quality. We're growing 140% year over year. They're growing 22%. In 6 months we'll have the leverage. That's incredibly risky. That's business. I was right. 4 months later, CloudSync's growth stalled. Their biggest client defected. To us. Their product launch failed. Their investors got nervous. They came back with a different proposal. A merger structured as an acquisition where I'd stay on as CEO of the combined company. DataStream would acquire CloudSync for $180 million in cash and stock. I'd own 51% of the combined entity. Marcus and my early employees would get substantial payouts. CloudSync's team would integrate under my leadership. This is one of the largest SaaS acquisitions this year, our lawyer said. You're 32 years old and you're about to be worth over $200 million personally. $200 million. I'd grown up sharing a bedroom with Ashley until I was 12. I'd eaten ramen noodles by choice in my 20s because every dollar mattered. I'd worked 100-hour weeks while my family thought I was wasting my potential. And now I was worth more than everyone in my family combined would earn in their entire lifetimes. The deal closed on November 15th, 10 days before Thanksgiving. Bloomberg wanted an exclusive. CNN wanted an interview. TechCrunch was preparing a feature. We're scheduling announcements for Friday, November 24th, 6 p.m. Eastern, our PR firm said. Maximum visibility. Post-market close, start of holiday weekend, perfect timing. Thanksgiving evening. When I got Ashley's text uninviting me from Thanksgiving dinner, I was reviewing those exact PR schedules. I spent Thanksgiving Day working. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. The acquisition was done, but integration planning was complex. CloudSync's team would officially join us on December 1st. There were systems to merge, cultures to blend, redundancies to navigate carefully. Around 3 p.m., my phone started buzzing with the family group chat. Ashley posted photos of her dining room table, elaborately decorated with fall colors, professional-looking place settings, fancy glassware. Getting ready for our guests. Madison's bringing wine from her father's collection. Tyler, what time are you arriving? Tyler, 30 minutes. Madison's excited to meet everyone. Mom, the turkey looks perfect. Ashley, you've outdone yourself. Dad, can't wait. Ashley, your mother and I are bringing the pies. I muted the chat and went back to work. At 5:45 p.m. Marcus called. The embargo lifts in 15 minutes. Bloomberg's article goes live at 6 o'clock. CNN's doing their business report at 6:05. Are you ready? Ready for what? Jennifer, you're about to be famous. In tech circles you've been well known for years. But this acquisition is big enough for mainstream coverage. CNN, CNBC, major outlets. Your face is going to be everywhere tonight. I'm just working. You're never just working. That's why we're here. He paused. Your family knows, right? About the acquisition? No. Jennifer, this is huge news. Your family's going to find out from CNN. Shouldn't you? They uninvited me from Thanksgiving because my clothes are from Goodwill and they didn't want me to embarrass them in front of my brother's new girlfriend. Silence. They what? You heard me. Jesus Christ, Jennifer. So no, Marcus, I didn't tell them. Let them find out with everyone else. At 6 p.m. exactly, my phone started exploding. Bloomberg's push notification. DataStream acquires CloudSync for $180 million in major SaaS deal. LinkedIn notifications. Hundreds of them, thousands, colleagues and connections sharing the news. Email from the Bloomberg reporter. Article is live. Congratulations again on the acquisition. At 6:05 my sister called. I didn't answer. She called again. Then Tyler called. Then Mom. Then Dad. I silenced my phone and opened CNN's website. There it was, top of the business section. 32-year-old CEO closes $180 million acquisition, becomes one of tech's most successful young entrepreneurs. The article had my photo. A professional headshot from our website that I'd paid $150 for. The story detailed the acquisition, DataStream's growth, my background as a college dropout who'd built the company from nothing. There was a quote from CloudSync CEO. Jennifer Walsh is one of the most brilliant strategists in the industry. This merger makes sense for everyone involved. A quote from a venture capitalist. DataStream has been on our radar for years. Jennifer's ability to compete with companies 10 times her size is remarkable. This acquisition validates everything she's built. My phone was vibrating constantly now. The family group chat had 87 new messages. I opened it. Ashley, Jennifer, what the hell? Tyler, is this real? Mom, Jennifer Marie Walsh, call me right now. Ashley, CNN just said your company. Tyler, Madison's dad knows who you are. Mom, why didn't you tell us? Ashley, you're on CNN. Ashley, you're on CNN right now. Ashley, everyone is staring at the TV. Tyler, her dad just said, that's your sister? Mom, Jennifer, call me. Dad, Jennifer, please call. We're all very confused. I let them wait. Let the messages pile up. Took a shower. Made dinner. A simple pasta dish, alone in my apartment, the same thing I'd eaten most Thanksgivings for the past 5 years. At 7:30 p.m. I finally called Ashley. She answered on the first ring. Jennifer, oh my God, where have you been? We've been calling for an hour. You told me not to come to Thanksgiving. Silence. What? You texted me 3 days ago. Said Tyler's girlfriend is used to a certain lifestyle and my Goodwill outfits would be awkward. Mom liked the message. So I didn't come. Like you asked. Jennifer, that was. We didn't know you were. Successful? No, you didn't. Because you never asked. That's not fair. Ashley, for the last 10 years, every family dinner, you've asked me if I'm still doing the tech thing like it's a phase I'll grow out of. You've never once asked about my revenue, my clients, my growth, my team, anything. You decided I was the unsuccessful sister and that was that. Because you live in a tiny apartment. You drive a car from 2013. You wear thrift store clothes. Because I've been building a company. Because every dollar I had went into growth. Because I care more about building something meaningful than impressing people with what I wear. I heard voices in the background. Tyler saying something. Mom crying. Ashley's voice became pleading. Jennifer, please. Can you just come over? Everyone wants to see you. Madison's dad wants to meet you. He said you're one of the biggest names in SaaS right now. He knows people who've been trying to invest in DataStream for years. You want me to come over now? After you uninvited me? So I can meet your brother's girlfriend's hedge fund father. Don't be like that. We're family. Then why wasn't I good enough for your family Thanksgiving when you thought I was poor? More background noise. Someone taking the phone. Tyler's voice. Jen, look, we messed up. Obviously. Massively. But can we talk about this? In person. Why? So you can introduce me to Madison's father? So you can suddenly pretend you always believed in me? That's not what this is about. Isn't it? 3 days ago my clothes were too embarrassing to have at Thanksgiving. Tonight, CNN announces my $180 million acquisition and suddenly everyone wants me to come over. What changed, Tyler? We didn't know. That's the problem. You didn't know because you never asked. You never cared to know. You just assumed. Mom got on the phone. Jennifer, sweetheart, please don't be angry. We're so proud of you. So proud. Why didn't you tell us about this acquisition? About your company's success? We had no idea you were doing so well. I tried to tell you. For years. Every time I mentioned my company, you'd change the subject or pat my hand sympathetically like I was chasing a pipe dream. Eventually I stopped trying. That's not true. Mom, 2 Thanksgivings ago I mentioned that we'd closed a major funding round. Dad said, "That's nice, honey," and immediately asked Ashley about her latest ad campaign. Last Christmas I said we'd hit $25 million in revenue. You said, "That's wonderful," and asked Tyler about his bonus. You didn't ask a single follow-up question. Not one. Silence. You decided who I was 10 years ago when I dropped out of college. You decided I was the failure, the disappointment, the one who didn't understand how the real world worked. And nothing I did would change your mind because you weren't paying attention. Dad's voice shaky. Jennifer, that's not. We never thought you were a failure. Didn't you? You told everyone I was doing something with computers. You apologized for me at family gatherings. Jennifer's very focused on her work. She doesn't have time for a social life. You compared me to Ashley constantly. You made it clear that I wasn't living up to expectations. We were worried about you, Mom said. You were working so hard, living so frugally. We thought you were struggling. I was building something. There's a difference. Ashley's voice came back, tearful now. Jennifer, please. I'm sorry. We're all sorry. Can you please just come over? Let us celebrate with you. You want to celebrate me now that I'm worth celebrating? That came out wrong. Did it? Because it seems pretty accurate. When you thought I was poor, I wasn't good enough for Thanksgiving. Now that CNN's announced I'm worth $200 million, suddenly I'm invited back. How is that not exactly what's happening? No one had an answer. I need to go, I said. I have a lot of work to do. The acquisition closed 2 weeks ago, but integration starts next week. It's complicated. Jennifer, wait. I hung up. My phone immediately started ringing again. I turned it off and went back to work. Friday morning my phone had 283 missed calls. I turned it back on to find the family group chat had 847 new messages. I didn't read them. Instead I called Marcus. How's it going? He asked. Media's going crazy. Bloomberg wants a longer interview. Forbes wants to do a profile. Someone from the Wall Street Journal called my office asking about my unconventional lifestyle choices. Marcus laughed. They mean the apartment and the Goodwill clothes? Apparently living modestly as a CEO is newsworthy. For what it's worth, that's my favorite part of this story. College dropout builds $180 million company while living in a studio apartment and driving a 2013 Civic. It's very cinematic. It wasn't cinematic. It was practical. To you. To everyone else, it's inspiring. My doorbell rang. Someone's here. I'll call you back. I looked through the peephole. Ashley, Tyler, and my parents stood in my apartment hallway, looking uncomfortable and out of place. I opened the door. We brought Thanksgiving leftovers, Mom said weakly, holding a container. We thought you might want some. I looked at them. Really looked at them. Ashley in her designer outfit, clearly uncomfortable in my building's shabby hallway. Tyler in his finance bro casual wear, checking his watch. My parents looking older, suddenly ashamed. Come in, I said. They filed into my studio apartment, 400 square feet that I'd lived in for 7 years. The same apartment they'd visited exactly twice, both times making comments about when you can afford something bigger. Ashley looked around, clearly shocked. Jennifer, you still live here? After everything. Why would I move? It's close to the office. It has everything I need. But you can afford. I can afford a lot of things. That doesn't mean I need them. They sat awkwardly on my small couch, all 4 of them squeezed together while I took the desk chair. Dad spoke first. Jennifer, we owe you an apology. A massive apology. Yes, you do. We completely misjudged you. For years. We made assumptions about your life based on appearances. Based on what we could see. We never looked deeper. You never asked. No, Mom said, tears streaming down her face. We didn't. And that's inexcusable. You're our daughter. We should have asked. We should have been interested. We should have supported you instead of constantly comparing you to Ashley and Tyler. She was crying too. I was so mean to you. For so long. I thought I was the successful sister because I had a nice apartment and nice clothes and a good job. But you were building an empire while I was doing nothing in comparison. It's not a competition, I said. Then why does it feel like I lost? Because you've spent your entire adult life measuring success by appearances. By what things look like on Instagram. By what impresses people at parties. I measured it by growth rate, customer satisfaction, and revenue. We were playing different games. Tyler spoke quietly. Madison's dad asked me last night how I didn't know my sister was Jennifer Walsh from DataStream. He said everyone in the venture capital world knows who you are. He said firms have been trying to invest in your company for 5 years, but you always said no. I didn't need investors. We were profitable. He said that's unheard of. A SaaS company growing 140% year over year while staying profitable. He said you're either brilliant or lucky, but probably brilliant. I'm focused. There's a difference. Jen, I introduced you to people as my sister who does something with computers. Like you were a tech support person or something. And you were running an $80 million company. $94 million at acquisition. Now $274 million combined. He put his head in his hands. I'm an idiot. You're not an idiot. You just weren't paying attention. Mom moved to kneel in front of me, taking my hands. Sweetheart, how do we fix this? How do we make this right? I thought about it. Really thought about it. You start by actually knowing me. By asking questions. By being interested in my work, not because it's impressive now, but because it matters to me. By understanding that I chose this life. The small apartment, the old car, the simple clothes. Not because I had to, but because those things aren't important to me. What is important to you? Dad asked. Building something that solves real problems. DataStream helps small businesses compete with enterprises. We've enabled thousands of companies to manage their data infrastructure affordably. That matters more to me than any amount of money. Ashley wiped her eyes. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why didn't you tell us? When things started taking off. When you raised funding, when you hit revenue milestones, when you got the acquisition offer. Why keep it all secret? I didn't keep it secret. I mentioned things. You didn't listen. And eventually I realized you'd already decided who I was, and nothing I said would change that. So I stopped trying to change it. But we could have celebrated with you. Could have been there for your successes. Could you have? 3 days ago you uninvited me from Thanksgiving because my clothes were from Goodwill. If I'd told you about the acquisition before it was announced, would you have believed me? Or would you have thought I was exaggerating? Lying? Delusional? No one answered. That's what I thought. We talked for 3 hours. Really talked, maybe for the first time in 10 years. I showed them DataStream's offices. A virtual tour on my laptop since it was Friday evening and everyone was gone. Showed them our product, explained what we did, walked through case studies of clients we'd helped. This is incredible, Dad said, watching a video testimonial from a small manufacturing company that had grown 300% after implementing DataStream. You built this. We built this. I have a team of 87 brilliant people. But yes, I started it. Why? Mom asked. Why this specifically? Because I worked for a small business in college. A bookstore. They were drowning in data from multiple sources. Inventory, sales, online orders, foot traffic. They couldn't afford enterprise software that cost $50,000 a year. So they used spreadsheets and manual processes and made mistakes. I thought, someone should build affordable data infrastructure for businesses like this. So I did. Ashley looked at me with something like awe. You saw a problem and just solved it? It took 5 years and nearly killed me several times. But yes, basically. And now you've acquired your biggest competitor. Now we've combined forces to help even more businesses. Tyler asked the question I'd been waiting for. Jennifer, what are you going to do with $200 million? Keep working. What? I'm staying on as CEO. The acquisition deal requires me to run the combined company for at least 3 years. After that, we'll see. But I love what I do. Why would I stop? Because you're rich now. You could retire, travel, buy a mansion, do whatever you want. I am doing what I want. Building a company, solving problems, growing something meaningful. But the apartment, the car, the clothes, are you going to upgrade those? I thought about it. Maybe. Maybe I'll get a nicer apartment now that I don't need every dollar for the company. Maybe I'll replace my car. It's getting old. But I don't want a mansion or a Ferrari or whatever you think rich people should have. Those things don't interest me. What does interest you? This. I gestured to my laptop, to the work I'd been doing. Building things. Solving problems. Making a difference in ways that matter. Mom hugged me then, really hugged me, not the performative hugs from family gatherings but a real, desperate embrace. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry we didn't see you. You're remarkable, Jennifer. You've always been remarkable. I wish we'd known. You can know now, I said. If you want to. We do, Dad said firmly. We want to know everything. Your work, your life, your plans, everything. No more assumptions. No more comparisons. Just our daughter as she actually is. 3 weeks later I took them to the office. It was a Saturday and the place was quiet, but I wanted them to see it. To understand what I'd built. I walked them through our workspace. Open floor plan, glass conference rooms, walls covered with monitors showing system metrics and client data. I introduced them to Marcus, who was working on integration planning. Your daughter's a genius, he told my parents. Not just at technology but at business. The way she positioned us to acquire CloudSync instead of being acquired was masterclass level strategy. I showed them the awards wall. Placements on Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies, recognition from industry publications, customer satisfaction ratings that topped 98%. You did all this, Ashley said quietly, and we had no idea. Because you didn't ask. I know. And I'm going to spend a long time making up for that. At lunch, at a normal restaurant, not somewhere fancy because I still didn't care about fancy, Tyler brought up Madison. We broke up, he said. What? Why? Because after Thanksgiving, after she saw how her dad reacted to finding out who you were, she kept asking if you could introduce her to venture capital people. She kept talking about how useful a connection like you would be. And I realized she wasn't interested in me. She was interested in proximity to success. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was a wake-up call. About what I value. About what matters. You've been successful for years and you never once bragged about it or used it to impress people. Meanwhile, I've been pretending to be more successful than I am, trying to impress people who don't matter. It's pathetic. It's not pathetic. It's human. We all want to be valued. But you found a different way. You built something so valuable that people sought you out instead of you chasing them. I got lucky. No, Marcus interrupted. You were strategic. There's a difference. Mom asked if she could come to our next client event. I want to see you in action. Want to understand what you do every day. Dad asked if he could read our case studies. I've spent my whole life in printing. I want to understand technology better. Want to understand what you've accomplished. Ashley asked if she could volunteer with any STEM programs we sponsored. I want to help other girls see that there are different paths to success. Paths like yours. We weren't fixed. Years of dismissal and judgment don't disappear with a few conversations. But we were starting. 6 months later, Forbes published their profile. Jennifer Walsh, the unlikely tech CEO who built a $274 million company from a studio apartment. The article featured photos of me in my apartment, which I still hadn't moved out of, though I'd upgraded the furniture. Photos of our office. Photos of me with my team. There was a sidebar titled The Goodwill Genius, How Jennifer Walsh Redefined Success. It quoted my sister. My sister taught me that success isn't about appearances. It's about substance. I spent years thinking I was the successful daughter because I looked the part. She spent those same years actually being successful. I'm still learning from her. A quote from Tyler. Jennifer never needed our approval. She was building something real while we were performing success on social media. That's the difference between appearance and achievement. A quote from my mother. I spent years worrying that my daughter wasn't living up to her potential. Turns out she was exceeding it in ways I couldn't see because I was too focused on the wrong metrics. She's taught me to look deeper. But my favorite part was the ending. The journalist had asked what I'd do differently if I could go back. Nothing, I'd said. Being underestimated was an advantage. Kept me focused on the work instead of the performance. It taught me that other people's opinions, even family's opinions, don't define your worth. Your work defines your worth. Your impact defines your worth. Not your car or your clothes or how impressive you look at Thanksgiving dinner. Any advice for other entrepreneurs? Build something that matters. Ignore the noise. Focus on solutions, not appearances. And if your family uninvites you from Thanksgiving because your clothes aren't nice enough, let them. Then build a $180 million company and let CNN tell them who you really are. The article went viral. I framed it. Not because I needed the validation, I'd learned years ago not to need external validation, but because it represented something important. The moment when substance won over appearance. When work triumphed over performance. When being underestimated became the best advantage of all. My family had that article framed too. In their living room, right next to Ashley's marketing awards and Tyler's college diploma. Our daughter, Dad would tell visitors proudly. She runs a $274 million company. Built it from nothing. And they meant it. Really meant it. Because they'd finally learned to see me. Not the clothes I wore or the car I drove or the apartment I lived in. But the work I did. The problems I solved. The company I built. The real me. Finally.